Mr. Richer has kind of made it a cause of his own to target the First Amendment speech of critics of election management. So let's get back to the election controversies. Arizona has been a kind of an epicenter of election controversies since 2020 at least. Kari Lake ran for governor. There were issues about the way her election was conducted. Still are issues, as best I can tell, that haven't been adequately answered. So there's been a lot of controversy there, and there's been a lot of infighting even among Republicans about how to handle these various issues. And Kari Lake's been very aggressive in going after government officials who have been, in her view, remiss or negligent in the handling of their obligations to ensure that elections are conducted fairly and freely and result in accurate results, and that voters aren't disenfranchised. And one of the key officials and offices in Arizona when it comes to elections is the Maricopa County Recorder. Now that's kind of an unusual name, I know, but Maricopa County, for those of you who aren't familiar with Arizona, is, I think, the biggest county in Arizona. Essentially, it comprises much of the Phoenix area. And the Recorder is one of the local entities, if not the local entity, responsible for managing and conducting elections. So the Recorder is a powerful individual, an important individual when it comes to managing elections. And the Recorder is Stephen Richer, who is the Maricopa County Arizona Recorder, as I've noted. And Kari Lake said something about Mr. Richer that caused him to file a defamation lawsuit against her. And I don't know the details of the defamation lawsuit. I thought I'm not going to repeat what could be potentially defamatory. So that's neither here nor there. But what is here and not there is whether or not Mr. Richer used government resources in order to advance his personal lawsuit, his defamation lawsuit against Kari Lake. And not only that, Mr. Richer has kind of made it a cause of his own to target the First Amendment speech of critics of election management. So if you're, on the wrong side of these election debates, like Judicial Watch is, or Kari Lake is, or Trump is, or other Americans who have concerns about the way elections have been conducted in Arizona in 2020 and since, or nationally, Stephen Richer thinks that there's got to be some First Amendment restrictions on your speech, as best I can tell, or a rethinking of the First Amendment related to election speech. So we asked for records about that too. So we asked for records on his views on the First Amendment and what he was doing in that regard. And also any records about the use of government records and resources to advance this defamation lawsuit against Kari Lake. Now, Kari is working or running for the Senate now, too. In November 2022, Republican gubernatorial hopeful Kari Lake questioned the results of Maricopa County's electoral procedures. Lake criticized both Richer and her opponent, Democrat Katie Hobbs, who's now the governor because she was certified the winner, who was the incumbent Secretary of State in charge of overseeing the election operations. In June of 2023, Richer filed the defamation lawsuit against Lake, as I detailed. On March 23rd, an article from the Arizona Free News reported public records revealed that Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer tasked staff with compiling articles and online content pertaining to the personal defamation suit against Kari Lake, Senate candidate and gubernatorial candidate, as well as topics of personal political interest. He recently made the news again for aligning with the left-leaning state's United Democracy Center to target election speech. And as I noted in the release, it's curious that Judicial Watch is getting the runaround on the potential use of government resources to target Kari Lake with a defamation lawsuit. To me, this is like a simple request, and I don't understand why Mr. Richard's office isn't responding. So we've sued we've sued in Arizona State Court. It's Judicial Watch versus Stephen Richer in his official capacity as Maricopa County Recorder. It was filed in the Superior Court for the state of Arizona after he failed to respond to a March 25th, 2024 open records law request for the records I described. So a relatively straightforward request, a lot of controversy about the way he's been operating his office, a lot of controversy about this defamation lawsuit, and we've waited a bit to get the records, we've been getting the runaround, and so we sued. And what I love about Judicial Watch, many things I love, is that it's not just Washington, D.C. That when other government officials or government offices or government agencies, in this case, because to be fair to Mr. Richer, I don't know who's making the decisions over there in terms of responding to this FOIA request. But the law requires a response. The law requires a disclosure of certain information, and we haven't gotten that here. And it's not just the feds we sue. We sue at the state and local level to get access about what the government's up to. And, if there's one thing I can say to you as an ordinary citizen and concerned patriot watching me now, is that FOIA can be used by you. Look up if there's a local agency you don't like what they're doing, or maybe you do and you just have questions about how it's operating. Look up the rules on asking for documents about the decisions that you're concerned about and ask them for the records. Now, I know one of the big deals that people have about asking for records is the response they often get, oh, we'll give you the records, but you're going to have to pay some fees in order to get them. And oftentimes, that's legal. Okay, so just because they're asking you for money, it doesn't mean it's not appropriate under law. That being said, ask away. Use FOIA to uncover what the government's up to at every level. Now, sometimes they'll just ignore you, and unfortunately, on a lot of sensitive issues or issues of high public interest, you'll get the runaround, and only a lawsuit will get it done. And that's where Judicial Watch's expertise comes into play, because we have the capacity, thanks to the generous support of Americans like you, to sue when we're given the proverbial hand to the face by the government, no. And we're able to go to court, whether it be in the state of Arizona or here in Washington, D.C., against the most powerful government agencies in the history of humanity at the federal level. So it's a wonderful law, these open records laws. So we're not only suing in Arizona on this issue related to the way elections have been run and the view of a key official about suppressing the First Amendment rights of American citizens, but it's important for you to know that the laws that we use aren't just available to Judicial Watch, they're available to you, my dear fellow citizen. So we do this work on your behalf, generally. But, if there's something really specific and local that you're interested in, whether your school board, the school boards hate FOIA now because Judicial Watch has educated citizens and parents across the country and helped them directly and indirectly ask questions about what's being taught in the schools and what's going on. Or, even something as simple as trash collection you can do FOIAs on. So don't be shy. It's your government. You paid for it. Ask a few questions here and there and see what they give you. They may not give you anything, but it's worth asking if the issue's important.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like our video down below.